Who are the Crimson Fleet? Space pirates, raiders, the bad guys and criminals. But why are they so important to Starfield's story? And more importantly, why haven't they been stopped? We're going to cover that and more in today's video and take a massive deep dive into the history, lore and current presence of the Crimson Fleet. This is going to be episode 1 of a new series on the channel where we're going to be taking a massive deep dive into every main faction in Starfield like we never have before. So if you would kindly hit the like button before we get started, it really helps out more than you can imagine, and consider subscribing and join us as we break down each of these main factions over the next few days or weeks. With that out of the way, let's dive straight in. So what do we already know about the Crimson Fleet? It has been confirmed to us that the Crimson Fleet are not just one single organised faction, but instead a loose confederation of individual pirate captains, all organised under the same banner, following the same rules and systems and ways of life. And in the already known Starfield lore, it is said that for years now, the Crimson Fleet have been considered a major problem for the Freestar Collective, mostly sticking in their region of space, which we know is known as Kryx. However, by the year 2330, the year that Starfield is set in, it's said that the pirates of the Crimson Fleet have expanded far beyond the Kryx system and now has established multiple footholds in Sagan, Cheyenne, Lurara, and Narion, which, as you may have guessed it, has caused the United Colonies to officially claim the Crimson Fleet as enemies of the settled systems and a ever-growing threat. So as of the year 2330, the United Colonies are determined to put an end to the Crimson Fleet once and for all. The Crimson Fleet are known as, quote, cutthroat fighters, and once you join up, you are not allowed to leave under any circumstances. The only way out of the Crimson Fleet is death.
When you sign up with the Crimson Fleet, no one quits. The only way out is death.
The two main things that I think we really need to account for here is the fact that we can join the Crimson Fleet not only as a fellow pirate, but as an undercover officer too. If you choose, the United Colonies will send you undercover as a posing member of the Crimson Fleet, allowing you to collect information and report back, as stated, like an undercover cop. Unfortunately, we currently only know of one rank in the Crimson Fleet's ranking system, that being just a simple, quote, pirate, which we can assume is the first rank you'll get after you join the fleet, as these enemies in the footage I'm showing here are very low level. Others have pointed out Brogan, a guy we easily take out on the moon of Crete. Brogan must be a high-ranking member of the fleet, as his name is clearly listed instead of just being called a pirate like the rest of his crew. But why do the Crimson Fleet actually do what they do? What are their views, their reasonings? Just for fun, let's speculate a little. I personally have had a little theory for a while now that the Crimson Fleet, not all, but some members, will be ex-soldiers who fought in the colony wars, which we obviously know will be a major part of Starfield's history, lore and overall story. The main reason I think this is simply because of one small quote, where Bethesda said the Crimson Fleet, quote, take what's theirs, clearly hinting and pointing to the fact that they feel owed. They feel like something or some things belong to them, even though really they don't. I personally think that making a lot of the Crimson Fleet members ex-soldiers who have been wronged from the horrors of war makes a lot of sense. They fought for the settled systems, and now they've been pushed out, possibly making them become the hostile pirates that they are. The Crimson Fleet are clearly the, quote, bad guys of Starfield. I don't think anybody here doubts that. However, they must have a reason to do the things that they do, as all good villains do. And we could sit here for hours discussing why they do what they do, what their beliefs and philosophies are, but instead I'd like to mostly focus on the very small amount of evidence that we have. Such as, the Crimson Fleet are clearly a giant problem for both the Freestar Collective and the United Colonies, and maybe even Constellation. So it's quite surprising that they've managed to continue their crimes for as long as they have without being stopped. It has been confirmed to us that the United Colonies are the biggest and most powerful faction in Starfield's universe. However, the Crimson Fleet are likely the most lethal of the four main factions, not much caring about losing fellow members, being quick to pull a trigger, not having much of a conscience for the ones that they, shall we say, put down. Maybe that's why it's difficult for other factions to take them on, because the Crimson Fleet simply just don't care about the ones that they lose, as long as they win. Or maybe there are just so many pirates in the faction that it outweighs how many soldiers the United Colonies can send out at once. That is unfortunately a question we likely will not know until we play the game. But just imagine playing Starfield for the first time and every NPC and every faction and just everyone is telling you how awful the Crimson Fleet are, how terrible their crimes are, the upsetting things that they've caused to settled systems, just to find out that, in fact, these were once soldiers who were just fighting for their home, maybe even having to kill loved ones or at least destroying planets that loved ones were living on, just for nobody to even win. All of that pain just for a peace treaty. If that is the case, and again this is just pure speculation on my behalf, it would make for an amazing story that Bethesda could tell. These so-called pirates might have lost everything, which is maybe the reason they started to raid and kill in the first place, and as Bethesda said themselves, take back what's theirs. Maybe the members of the Crimson Fleet were even made homeless due to the United Colonies or the Freestar Collective taking over their home planets. Again, I just think that this take back what's theirs quote tells us more than we may think. There are still obviously a lot of questions about the Crimson Fleet, whether they are truly evil or not, what their true goals are, and so much more, but unfortunately we probably won't get these answers until we actually manage to play the game and get a chance to see the Crimson Fleet for ourselves. So that will wrap up episode 1 of this series, and I really hope that you all enjoyed it. Next time we will be covering the United Colonies and their possible corruption. If you enjoyed the first episode in this series, please do leave the video a like, it really helps out more than you can imagine, and it is a wonderful way for you to show your appreciation on the content. And of course, if you would like to stay updated on this series and any other Starfield content such as leaks, news, discussions, speculation and plenty more, please do consider subscribing because I cover it all over here. We're also really hoping to hit 5,000 subscribers sometime soon, so if you do subscribe, thank you so much for helping us get further into that goal. And lastly, a big massive thank you to our channel members as always, Maze, Jesse and Kylo. You guys helped me more than you could ever imagine, and I couldn't put the thanks into words. But with all of that pretty much said and done, I thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in the next one.